What is going on, YouTube? I got a little video here for you today. The video that I have is ranking of the top 150 rappers of all time. This is part one. I'm just going to be covering number 150 through 101 today. I personally think it's going to be better to break it up in parts of 50, and you will see going forward with a lot of other projects I do, I'll break it up into 50 chunks because I think that it works better for both the listening experience and for my experience. So with that being said, let me get right into the list. I do want to preface this by saying that rap is my favorite genre, so I feel pretty confident when I make these opinions. I've been listening to rap for years now, probably 8 years around then, and I kind of grew up on it. I love rap. I still listen to rap constantly, still trying to discover new artists, new songs. So yeah, I just love the genre of rap, and so I just wanted to talk about it a little today. So before I get into the one honorable mention I just wanted to kind of give the criteria of what exactly this video is about. As you can see, it is the best rappers of all time list, in my opinion. Not my favorite, but the best. And so my criteria for that is you have to have at least one banger. Now, I know banger is a very subjective term, but for me, banger is a song that I will turn on and listen to really at any time and be like, that is fire. You know, that's a song that I'll come back to, I'll recommend to people, I'll play in front of people that have never heard it before. That is what I classify a banger as. And so, with that being said, this honorable mention, in my opinion, does not have a banger. He is bangerless. And so that's why he's an honorable mention and not on the list. And that person is Nas. Now, it's hard to say that Nas is not a good rapper. He is a good rapper. He's a talented rapper. But with that being said, he has no bangers. He has no songs where you go, oh my gosh, that song is good. No bangers. Absolutely zero. LA Fitness, just bad. He doesn't have any bangers, which is really going to harm you as a rapper. And so because of that, I couldn't put him on the list. In good faith, I couldn't put him on the list because I don't think he deserves a spot in the top 150 because he doesn't have a single banger. Now, that is my only honorable mention, so let's get straight into the list. At number 150, we have somebody who only really has one banger, but that banger is so good to the point where he had his debt erased by Drake just for singing it live for Drake in his house. And that is YK Osiris. YK Osiris, such a banger, worth it, absolute banger. I do think it's funny that his best feature is by Lecrae, a Christian rap artist, which is just weird to me. YK Osiris doesn't scream Christian rap to me at all. So it's very interesting to me. And that verse is very good. It's just odd. It catches me off guard. It's not something I'd expect from YK Osiris, of all people. But I couldn't have many higher just because I've listened to a fair amount of YK Osiris' discography. And Worth It's really the only banger. But boy, if Worth It is not a banger, I don't know what it is. Now at 149, we got somebody that's been memed on for quite a few years recently for both rap, non-rap, really anything. He's been memed since 2018 at the latest. He's been memed for years now. But I still think he's a talented rapper, especially in his prime, and that is Will Smith. Will Smith's such an interesting rapper to talk about because I think back in the 90s when he was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he was dropping bangers, absolute bangers. And as you can see, as what I have listed as his best song, he also made Men in Black, which is just, not only the movie, but the song, which is an absolute banger. That song bangs, probably one of the best original songs for a movie ever. And again, I'm sure I'll talk about this eventually when I make my ranking movie list and I talk about Men in Black, the movie. But that song's a banger, absolute banger. It makes the movie just that much better. And he has other bangers too, especially the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air era. Absolute bangers. But recently, last 10-ish years, he's fallen off a cliff. Everybody's seen that freestyle of him. It's bad. But in his prime, it was hard to beat Will Smith. It really was. He was one of the best rappers of his generation. And I don't care if people disagree with me. I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, at 148, we got the first of many members that are in groups on this list. And I couldn't put him any higher, even though the group is going to be much higher. And two of the other members are going to be higher as well. And that is Quavo. Quavo is kind of an interesting case because he's really good at ad-libs. I think everybody can acknowledge he's really good at ad-libs, but when it comes to actual lyrics, he's terrible. As a part of the Migos, it's like, okay, this is awesome. He's providing the ad-libs for the group, and that's what he needs to do. When he's in Migos, he'd be a lot higher. But I'm judging him based off his non-Migos content because, spoiler alert for one of the later videos, Migos is on the list, right? And I think you'd be crazy not to have Migos on the list. But I'm going to judge Quavo within Migos when it comes to that. Not here. I'm counting only Quavo's solo work. And honestly, it's bad. It's really bad. But he still has some songs where he can do okay and all right enough. And he's had a good amount of years under his belt. I wanted to say under best song, I put Flip the Switch by Drake. This is one of many different Drake features you will be seeing on this list. And this one especially, Drake reaches flow state. Quavo's there. I think that's kind of the Quavo special is Quavo is there. He's doing okay. And that's about it. But he's consistently okay, which has to count for something, Now, 147, another meme rapper, right? Another meme rapper who's not really great, but he has multiple bangers, which has to put him on the list. And that is number 147, Yo Gotti. Yo Gotti is an interesting guy between his lack of a neck and his lack of talent in 99% of his songs. But boy, if that bro doesn't have bangers sometime, Down in the DMs, certified classic. Rake It Up, certified classic. Pose, certified classic. Now, is he the best part of those songs? No. Maybe Down in the DMs, because it is really funny. But he's definitely not carrying songs on his own. That's why he's this low on the list. The further into the list we'll get, it becomes carrying songs more. And at this point in the list, they don't really carry songs much at all. I mean, why Cyrus carries Worth It? But that's kind of about it at this point. It's like it's hard for these people to carry songs and or they're just so inconsistent. Where the further we're going on this list, even in this video, you'll start to see like, okay, these people have multiple bangers that they make bangers, not they're just in bangers because other people do really good features. Now, at 146, I got somebody who's he's an odd rapper. In my notes, I put Lil Baby. You got Lil Baby Merchant, and I think that's completely right because most of his good songs have Lil Baby on them, and that is number 146, 42 Dugg. 42 Dugg, such an interesting guy. It's such an interesting rapper because he has some bangers, and when he's on bangers, he's doing decent. But most of them are with Lil Baby, so I really don't know how to qualify that. Because, spoiler alert, Lil Baby's a good rapper, right? I think most people can acknowledge that. And so it's a weird case of like, yeah, he has like 3 or 4 bangers, and 3 of the 4 bangers have Lil Baby on them. Is he a really good rapper? Is he a Lil Baby Merchant? I'm not sure. That's kind of why I have him here at number 146. Now 150 or 145 is another rapper, and I know I say this for a lot, but most of the rappers at this point, I don't have much to say about because they're just odd rappers to talk about because they're not super consistent, but they have some bangers. So it's just kind of odd to talk about them. I don't have much to say. And so number 145, I have G Herbo. G Herbo his verse on Mine is really good, you know? PTSD, not good, but that's okay because the rest of that song is really good. It's a very rare, amazing Chance the Rapper verse, which is really odd to me. But shout out Chance the Rapper for doing really good on that song. Still probably the third best person on that song because that song goes crazy. But again, that feature on Mine is really, really good to the point where I had to have him on the list. He has 2 certified bangers, one being his own song, one being a feature. He has to make the list, even if it's not much higher than this. Now, 144 is somebody that I expected going into this. I expected to be much higher. And for some background, I put this list together. I went through my Spotify, and I just wrote down a bunch of rappers' names that I feel like could make the list. And this next person is somebody, or when I was making that list, I looked at them and I went, that person's going to be fairly high. Top 70 probably. But the more I thought about it, the more I re-listened to their songs, the more I looked at which songs I liked and didn't like, the more I had to have him here at 144. It's just an odd place for me to have him, but I think this is where he belongs, and that is 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz is one of those rappers that you think is really good, you know? Like I said, I was like, he has to be like top 70. But then I kind of looked and I'm like, is he top 70? Like, he has some bangers, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, if we're ranking bangers, it's on the lower side of bangers, you know? It's not like this is a must-listen-to song for every person ever. It's like, no, there's some songs I'll bump to, but not a lot of songs I'll bump to, and not a lot of songs that I'll really bump to. Just, it's fine, you know? And I don't feel like he's really lyrically talented. He's okay. So that's why I kind of have him here at 144. At number 143, we have the first member of ASAP, and that is Ferg. I probably scared a lot of you guys there. Don't worry, ASAP Rocky's going to be a lot higher. He is not going to be covered in today's video. ASAP Ferg will be, though. ASAP Ferg's kind of odd because I really only believe he has 2 bangers, and that is Hop Out and Plain Jane. I feel like his verse on a Hop Out is amazing. I feel like that song's amazing. And Plain Jane, amazing song. But after that, I listen to the rest of his stuff, and I go, it's passable, but, like, what got into him in those 2 studio sessions? Where he's going crazy. I really don't understand, and just the consistency really holds him back from being any higher than 143. And so I gotta respect him enough to put him on the list because he is very talented. He's just not consistent. He is super inconsistent. So because of that, ASAP Ferg is at 143. At 142, we have probably the biggest name, not counting Will Smith because of acting, but like if we're talking about them as rappers, right? Probably the biggest rapper that we've covered so far. And he's weird. At 142, we have Soulja Boy. I don't know how to talk about Soulja Boy. You know, he has some great verses, some great songs. Kiss Me Through the Phone, certified banger. If you don't bump Kiss Me Through the Phone, I don't know what you're on because that's a certified banger. But it's odd because I think outside of like 2 to 3 years, he's terrible. You listen to anything outside of his prime when he was really popular, and it's just straight dog water. And I don't understand why he fell off so hard. I really don't. But I just couldn't afford to put him any higher because I don't think he deserves to be any higher. I don't think he has a good enough consistency like most of the people below him. But Kiss Me Through the Phone is probably the best song we've covered so far. So I had to put him this high. I had to. Now, 141, Soulja Boy gets overthrown for biggest rapper in the rap scene by 141. And that's because it's Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg's huge. You know, everybody and their grandma knows Snoop Dogg for good reason. He's a funny guy. He's a talented rapper-ish, you know. He's a funny guy. I mean, he was on the broadcast for the Olympics a few years back, which is still so odd to me, but shout out Snoop Dogg for that. But again, I feel like he's been in the game for so long, but he has so little bangers relative, He's consistently okay. Young, Wild, and Free, Still Dre, they're bangers, but again, on the low side of banger, and outside of that, it's all kind of okay stuff. If somebody turns on some Snoop Dogg in the car, I'm not going to tell them to turn it off, but I'm also not going to be jamming my head to it. I'm not going to be bobbing my head. I'm going to be like, this is fine. Maybe I'll check Twitter or something. Maybe I'll go on a different app or just any app just to kind of scroll, because it's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. It's just passable. It's stuff you'd hear in a TJ Maxx, and that's fine. That's no offense to Snoop Dogg, but I just can't have him any higher when he's TJ Maxx music. Now at 140, we have somebody that I think is maybe the first wild pick in some people's eyes on this list. And I can't specifically remember how to pronounce his name, and I deeply apologize if I mispronounce it. But at 140, we have Asamason, or Asamason. I can't remember which of the two. Asamason, I think is what it is. Either way, he has some bangers. But again, I think lyrically is kind of his weak point. I think his strong point is beats and flows, but his lyrics really aren't great. To be fair, nobody's lyrics are really that great at this point in the list. But I think that's what really holds him back from being like in the 120, 110 range. I feel like he just doesn't have as good of lyrics as you need to be able to be higher on this list. That's why he's at 140, but he does have bangers, don't get me wrong. 139, we have the first female on this list. First female of many. There's many talented female rappers out there, but this is the first female rapper on the list, and that is Coi Leray. Boy, is Coi Leray talented. Very talented. Self-Love by Metro Boomin. Again, like I said, for Will Smith in Men in Black, I think Self-Love is one of the best songs ever made for a movie. It's such a vibe, especially at nighttime, night drives, night walks, even just night listens while you're doing anything, It's such a night vibe. I love Self-Love. Such a great song. And No More Parties, also a great song. She has multiple bangers. 5 to 6, I think is what I counted when I was writing this list down. But outside of that, she's very passable, Outside of Self-Love, No More Parties, a few other songs that I have in my playlist. Most of the songs I listen to by her, I go, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's kind of the Snoop Dogg thing. It's not bad, but it's so passable that your entire discography, or most of your discography, can't be okay to make this list or to be any higher on this list. You have to have a lot of bangers, and 5 bangers is a lot of bangers. But it's not enough bangers when your whole rest of your catalog's mid. Now, 138, we have, who I believe, off the top of my head, is the first rapper on this list to go to jail. Deservingly so. And that is number 138, Bobby Shmurda. Boy, if Bobby Shmurda was not in his prime before he went to jail. And don't get me wrong, he deserved to go to jail, right? But oh my gosh, imagine if Bobby Shmurda didn't go to jail. Oh boy, we'd be living through his peak. And there's somebody else on this list that we'll get to in about 5 people that I feel the same way, where like their prime was just kind of cut short because of jail. And again, I would just love to see a universe where these guys didn't go to jail, because, and especially Bobby Shmurda, he was so talented in his prime, so talented, but then he got locked up, right? Which I believe he deserved to get locked up. But because he got locked up, we missed out on his prime, or most of his prime. And that's a shame, because Bobby Shmurda is extremely talented. I'm glad he's out now. From what I've heard, he's okay, but he's just not in his prime anymore, Now at 137, we have another guy that some people might go, he shouldn't even be close to making the list. But I think he definitely does. I think he's extremely talented, and he's still young, to the point where his prime's upcoming. You know, I think he's not in his prime yet, and I think we'll see his prime soon. So he's definitely going to be able to creep higher on this list eventually. But at 137, we have Tu Hollis. Again, Tu Hollis has a long way to go, right? He has a long way to go. He just opened for Playboi Carti last year. I think it was last year he opened for Playboi Carti. He's so insanely talented. We're just not being able to see his prime yet, and I think he's going to get catapulted much higher once we actually do get to see his prime. But right now, from what we're seeing, he's still insanely talented. That's why I have to have him on this list, and he's going to move up eventually, just not now. Now, 136, we have somebody who most people probably forgot about. You know, and maybe there's a few people forgot about so far in this list. But when I was putting this list together, this was the first guy that I just completely forgot about. But boy, this guy has bangers. And that's number 136, OT Genasis. OT Genasis is odd, you know? He had Coco. He had Cut It Up. Two insane bangers. Oh my gosh, everyone was bumping those songs when they came out for good reason because they are absolute certified bangers. But outside of that, he doesn't have much. You know, two certified bangers that catapults him to 136, but he just doesn't have the consistency or the output or lyrics really outside of Cut It and Go to be able to go any higher. And I really hope I can get more from OT Genasis going forward, but it really doesn't seem like it. So I think he's going to kind of be here, maybe even go down throughout the years just because of new people showing up. But he has to be on the list. He has two certified bangers. And that's enough, honestly, at this point, to be in the 130-ish spot. That's why I have him here at 136. Now, at 135, I have probably the first person that people really haven't heard of, you know? There's some people, A$AP Ferg, you know, Asama Mason, however you pronounce it, Tu Hollis, you know, some people where it's like, do people really know these guys? Probably, but maybe not. But I think this is kind of the first person where it's like, if you're a rap fan, there's a solid chance you just don't know who they are. And at 135, I have Bankroll Hayden. I'm kind of intrigued, and put down in the comments below if you've heard of Bankroll Hayden. I feel like, again, I'm not trying to be that guy of like, oh, I'm on the underground stuff, you know. Bankroll Hayden's not underground, but I definitely feel like he's just lesser known, and that's okay, you know. And I feel like he has some bangers, you know. He, again, Costa Rica with Kid Laroi, both of them reach flow state to the point where you're just going crazy listening to that song because you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are going wild. So that's why he has to be on the list, and I feel like lyrically he is a lot better than the people below him. And since he has two certified bangers with Kiki and Costa Rica, as well as a couple others that I consider to be slight bangers, I feel like he has to be here at 135. But again, I'd like to see more bangers from him, and I really haven't. So that's kind of what's holding him back from being at any higher than 135. Now at 134, we have the second member of a band we've already covered, and that is Takeoff. Takeoff's odd. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Takeoff. I used to think he was a lot better than he was, and then I listened to a lot more Takeoff through the years, and I still think he's really talented. Obviously, he's number 150, but I feel like he's the second most talented Migos member, you know? I think Offset's more talented. I think Quavo's definitely not more talented than Takeoff. But he just doesn't have much consistency, you know? Even for his best feature being Hotel Lobby, I don't feel like that's a great song. I feel like Casper's a banger, though, you know? But he just doesn't have enough consistency to be any higher on this list. And yes, he's good in Migos songs, but if we're talking just his independent verses on songs with Takeoff, not Migos, or songs made by him and not Migos, he just doesn't have enough individual bangers to be any higher than the list. But between his Casper being a banger and his Migos stuff being solid enough, and again, I don't count it, but I can at least see, because of the Migos, that he has the talent there that I just kind of don't see in his individual career. Like, I know the talent's there. That's why I have him this high. Now, 133, we have who I believe is the first deceased person on the list. Rest in peace, number 133, Nipsey Hussle. Shout out Nipsey Hussle. Absolute Bay Area goat. You know, I remember when he passed away and the Warriors did a tribute. I'm a big Warriors fan, for all those that don't know. I specifically remember that, and I didn't really listen to any Nipsey Hussle at the time. But going back on it, I think he was really talented, you know? And it sucks that we lost him this early because he's such a talented rapper, and he just didn't have enough years to be able to make it any higher on this list, which really sucks because I know if he was around today, he'd be a lot higher on this list. He'd be at least 100, you know, top 100. But we just didn't get enough out of him, unfortunately. But again, all respect to Nipsey Hussle, great rapper. Rest in peace, GOAT. You will be missed. Now, at 132, we have the second rapper locked up in jail at one point. I believe he's free now, or if not, he's going to be released real soon. But that is 132, Tay-K. Shout out Tay-K. He did the race, you know? What a banger. What an absolute banger. I mean, it's been remixed a billion times for good reason, because that is an absolute banger of a song. Shout out the race. But I feel like, again, similar to Bobby Shmurda, he's so good, but also his prime got cut short because of a jail sentence, which, again, he deserved it. But I feel like, so it is his fault that his prime got cut short, but it is still unfortunate. I'd love to live in a universe where he never did anything wrong, and he could be free because, boy, his trajectory was insane at the time. I'd love to live in a universe where Tay-K could just be in his prime still, or I guess at this point he'd probably be near the end of his prime, but either way, he'd be going crazy on the mic to this day. I would have loved to see it, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. 131, we have the second female on this list, somebody that I feel like most people would not have even close to this list, but I truly do believe they should make this list because I think they're extremely talented and they have at least 10 bangers, and I'm talking about bangers, and that is Ice Spice. Now, the thing that's holding back Ice Spice, I know I said she has at least 10 bangers. Lyrically, she's very untalented, right? But her flow is crazy. Her beat selection is crazy, right? To the point where I feel like that has to catapult you up. If you have that many bangers, you have that many good beats, that many bangers, I feel like it has to put you at least at 131, all right? At least. And again, I know some people are going to be like, lyrically, she's bad. And yeah, that's fair. But I feel like it gets evened out by just how many bangers she has and how good her beat selection is. This is very good. And the two songs that I have listed up there, Princess Diane, such a banger. Such a banger. Boy's a Liar Part 2, also such a banger. Shout out Pink Panthers. She did not qualify for this list. By the way, I know there's going to be some people, I don't think on this list, but later on in the top 150 list, that most people or some people would think aren't rappers. My definition of a rapper is whatever Spotify says. If Spotify says this person is a rapper, then yes, I'll count them on this rapper list. If Spotify says no, then I'm not having them on this list. And I know I could do a different formula, but I'm just going to make it simple, make it according to Spotify. That way there's no confusion. And Pink Panthers, according to Spotify, is not a rapper, so I did not count it. But shout out Pink Panthers, such a talented artist. Now, number 130, we have another, what I consider to be all-time great before making this list, similar to 2 Chainz, but to a much bigger extent where I thought, oh my gosh, this guy is on some bangers, you know? A lot of bangers at that. So I figured he'd be a lot higher. But then I started making this list, and I started looking back at the songs that I thought were bangers. And while they are bangers, most of the songs aren't bangers because of him. And that's at 130, I have Gucci Mane. Again, when you think of Gucci Mane, you think a very talented rapper, an OG talented trap rapper. But then I look back on it, and I'm like, I Get the Bag is a banger, an absolute banger, but not because of him. Definitely not because of him. He's probably the worst part on the song, which is fine, and it's still a song, so it counts for something. But, no, it is not. I just can't give him too much credit for that. And I think Party by Chris Brown is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. I think that song is an absolute banger for parties especially. Who would have thought with the name? It is an absolute banger. And while I think Gucci Mane's verse isn't bad, Chris Brown's verses go stupid crazy. And so I can't really put him any higher, because even on a song that I think he has a really good verse on, he gets outdone tenfold to the point where most of the time I kind of skip his verse. It's good, but Chris Brown reaches an insane flow state that Gucci Mane doesn't even get close to. If Gucci Mane, in my opinion, his closest to reaching flow state is Party, Chris Brown outdoes him. I'll still give him credit, but I can't give him that much credit, So I have to have him on this list because, again, I think lyrically he is good. I think he's very good lyrically. But he just doesn't have that many bangers, and the bangers he has are not because of him. Now, at 129, we have a Chino Hills legend in the building, DC the Don. Shout out DC the Don. Shout out the Ball brothers. And shout out my GOAT, LeVar Ball. Shout out that brother. He can hoop. If we're talking about straight hoopers, LeVar Ball is the peak of the peak. He's beaten prime MJ's beaten prime Jordan. He's, dare I say, almost beating prime Bob Cousy. I'm not putting him in those conversations because realistically, Bob Cousy is the best basketball player of all time, probably the best athlete of all time if we're being serious with ourselves. Bob Cousy's an absolute menace on the court. Have you seen his left-handed dribble? Either way, I'm getting distracted from the actual list. DC the Don is very talented. DC the Don has a lot of good songs. I didn't include on here Naked. Naked is a banger, but Campfire Story is just that much better. Campfire Story has that dog, bro. It is such a good chill song. Chill nighttime song. In your feels song or even happy nighttime song. It's just so good. DC the Don, he's pretty consistently good. But I wouldn't say he's consistently great, so I wouldn't put him any higher than this. And I wouldn't say he really has any super bangers, Again, Party, if we're talking about Party, super banger. DC the Don, Campfire Story, Naked, not super bangers, but they are bangers. So I have him here at 129, and I do think lyrically he is talented. Shout out Chino Hills. At number 128, we have my GOAT. But again, this isn't a list on who I like the most. This is what I believe to be subjective list of these who I believe to be the best rappers of all time, right? And that is at 128, my GOAT, Dave Bluntz. Dave Bluntz, what a GOAT. Had to pick this picture because what aura to this picture. What aura? The oxygen tank, bro? The oxygen tank and the sofa on stage? If that's not aura, I don't know what is. Shout out Dave Bluntz. What a GOAT. Bro is consistently good, but I think outside of his lyrics, he's not good. I think his flows are really bad. I think his beat selection's okay. I don't think it's bad. It's just kind of passable. But his lyrics are definitely his strongest point, the strongest suit, to him as a rapper. But because he doesn't have good enough beat selection or flows, I just realistically can't put him higher. But boy, is Dave Bluntz a GOAT. I love that dude. Now at 127, we have the first person on this list that I think most people would be like, oh yeah, I guess they are a rapper, Maybe some people would think that was for Will Smith. I think this is kind of the first pick where you're like, oh, yeah, I guess they classify it for this list. So at number 127, we have Bad Baby, Catch Me Outside, How About That? Shout out Dr. Phil. Evil shout out Dr. Phil, though, actually. Evil shout out Dr. Phil. That dude I'm pretty convinced he's an evil dude. But, like, I can't confirm anything. Don't sue me, Dr. Phil. I just get a bad vibe from you, buddy. I just do. But shout out Bad Baby. She turned a very questionable meme career into a rapping career, into an OF career, which shout out her for doing OF. I have nothing against people who do OF. If you can get that bread, get that bread. So shout out her. And I do want to give her a shout out for making what I believe to be the only listenable Dax song, which is so hard to do because Dax sucks. If there was a dishonorable mention, Dak and Tom McDonald are bottom two. Those guys suck. But Dax made a song about Bad Baby when the Bad Baby meme kind of blew up. And it's listenable. I wouldn't say it's a banger. I would definitely say it's not a banger. But it's listenable. So shout out Bad Baby for giving him the inspiration to make a listenable song. But either way, Bad Baby's such a weird rapper because Gucci Flip Flops, I think, is a banger, right? I think it's a banger. It's not a big banger, but it's a banger. But the 22 remix, oh my gosh. She goes crazy on the 22 remix. She goes stupid on the 22 remix. It's genuinely one of the best songs I think I've ever heard in my life. It's such a good vibe. Both of their flows are so good. And honestly, when I show people the song, they don't even know it's Bad Baby. It's kind of crazy. But again, the fact that she did one of my favorite and what I consider to be like a really, really, really good verse on 22 Remix, that's why she's not only on the list, but at 127. I had a lot of people, and again, I think her consistency for how much she puts out is actually pretty good. Now at number 126, we have the First Little of the list. So shout out First Little on the list. Any predictions in the comments? Just pause right now. Put your predictions down below on who we think the First Little on the list is. But I feel like the First Little on the list kind of has to be Lil Xan. He's good, don't get me wrong, but if we're comparing him to the other Littles, he's nowhere close. I don't think there's another Lil on this list today. There is not another Lil on this list today. And that kind of shows the gap between him and the other Lils. And I'm not saying he's bad. Again, he's obviously on the list, so he's not bad. But again, I think Betrayed and Colorblind are the only two bangers he has. And those are bangers, don't get me wrong. But, like, when you only have two bangers, you can only be so high. And that's kind of a theme you can see so far is, like, most people only have about two bangers. So it can kind of, you can flip-flop. If you want to flip-flop Lil Xan in ASAP Ferg, go ahead. That's fine with me. I just feel like Lil Xan is better than everyone down below, lyrically and flows-wise and beat selection to the point where, yeah, he still only has two bangers like everybody else, but I put him this high because I think in those two songs he does probably better than anybody below, and they're two songs. Now, at 125, we have somebody that, if you know of this guy, there's no chance you thought of him in the last year, or at least his name in the last year. Maybe you heard one of his songs in the last year. But at 125, we have Arizona Zervis. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know how to feel about him because, again, I can't remember which album it is, but there's an album he has that most of his bangers are on, and I can't remember it. But outside of that, he doesn't really have any bangers. But, like, that album's peak was pretty high, And I feel like most people down below don't have an album where you're like, that's a good album, But he has a good album, so I feel like he has to be this high because not only does he have 3 to 4 bangers, but they're on the same album, That has to give you credit for something because that shows your peak is higher than really anybody else's down below. And I believe so. That's why he's here at 125. He's just weird to talk about. I don't know. I haven't heard from him in years. He's probably still putting out music. I'm not really sure. But that one album's peak was pretty good. Now, 124, I think this is going to be probably the second biggest shock of the list. And I know some people are going to be mad. I know some people are going to be mad. That's okay. But I personally believe he's a lot lower than most people have him because he just doesn't have that many bangers, you know? And that is at number 124, Tupac. Tupac has some bangers. You know, he's not Nas where he has 0 bangers. He's not Old Head with 0 bangers, right? But if you look at at Tupac, you go, he has 2 good songs. His best feature's okay. It's not great. Like, Hit 'Em Up's a banger, you know? But, like, again, he has, like, 2 good songs. And outside of those 2 good songs, he's not really that good. I don't know. Personally, I just don't think he's really that good. And I think his best song, it took Biggie calling him out to get. That's why, spoiler alert, Biggie's going to be higher on this list than he is. Biggie's really good. And I think Tupac is good. But Tupac, low-key, is a Biggie beef merchant. Biggie beef merchant Tupac. That's my official nickname for Tupac. Shout out Tupac, but like, boy, I don't know, bro. I don't think you're that good relative to what other people think. But obviously, he's still good enough to make this list. It's Tupac. He's talented. He's just not extremely talented. Now at 123, we have probably the worst person on this list so far. I think, at least off the top of my head. I mean, maybe like Tupac's worse, or Bobby Shmurda or Tay-K. It kind of, it's relative to what you think makes a bad person bad. But at number 123, we have 6ix9ine. Shout out 6ix9ine. I know he's in jail right now because he went back, 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. And he was on Ain Ross's stream. Boo. Either way, 6ix9ine has some certified bangers. He has like 5 to 6 bangers. In his prime, 6ix9ine was dropping heat. Billy? Certified hood classic, bro. Certified hood classic, Billy. Absolute banger. Absolute banger that Billy is. Great song. Swervin' by A-Boogie. He's really good in that song. You know, he's really good on that song. I don't know. I think it's hard to put him any higher because he didn't have that many years of being good. He had like 2 to 3 years of being good. And he had a lot of bad stuff. It was like, for me, it was like 25% straight bangers and like 75% bad in like a 2 to 3 year span. So it's kind of weird to cover them, but like those 25% bangers are really, really good. And on top of that, 25% banger rate is really good. There's a lot of people on this list that have like a 5% banger list, if not lower. So it's like, because of that, I feel like he has to be this high. As much as I don't think he's a good person and I don't like him, he has to be this high. Now, number 122, we got probably a big shock to most people. And I don't think I'd have him on this list prior to Jack Boys 2. But on Jack Boys 2, he had some good features. And it kind of opened my eyes to be like, okay, outside of the really popular meme song, I genuinely think this rapper's good. But again, one album worth of features, and it wasn't even that many features, isn't going to change my opinion on him that much. Just changed my opinion enough to have him on this list. So at number 122, we have Sheck Wes. Again, Mo Bamba gets memed on, and it's gotten memed on since it came out for good reason. Shout out Mo Bamba, the NBA player, by the way. What a goat. I love that guy. But it's just odd because, again, you look on his discography outside of Jack Boys 2, and you're like, this really isn't great. But then on Jack Boys 2, he's really good. He's arguably the third best person on that album, besides like Travis and Don Toliver. And that's a really good company to be in. If you're compared or getting in a list with Don Toliver and Travis Scott, you know you're doing really good. But I feel like, especially over the years, since Mo Bamba came out, he's only gotten better. And again, I think Jack Boys 2 proved that. And ultimately, Jack Boys 2 is why I have him on this list. And I think he'll eventually start moving up the more he kind of makes songs that sound like the features he did on Jack Boys 2. But That's why I have him here at 122, but I do expect him to move higher in the future. Now at number 121, we have, who used to be my sister's favorite rapper, at least for a short period. Shout out her goat, not my goat, her goat, Lil Mosey. What a guy, and shout out Lil Mosey for that tough picture. That is a tough picture, Probably the second toughest picture we've had so far behind, of course, Dave Blunt's, because that Dave Blunt's photo's aura. I had to include that one. But no, I think Lil Mosey, again, he has a decent amount of bangers, 5-ish bangers. He's pretty not great outside of the bangers, but in the bangers, he's really good. You look at him and you're like, noticed, absolute banger. Wrong, his feature in Wrong, absolute banger. Shout out the music video for Wrong, by the way. If you know, you know. But no, I feel like Lil Mosey's just he's kind of odd. He's an odd rapper to place, but I think he's talented enough to make the 150. And I feel like he's not bad in any aspect of rap. And he has 5 good bangers. So just kind of like a spot where it's like I can't really justify putting him any higher because I don't think he's amazing in any aspect of rap. I don't think he has any certified bangers. He just has some bangers. So that's why I have him here at number 120. I'd like to put him higher, but I can't justify it. Now, at number 120, Lil Mosey was number 121. I think I misspoke earlier. Number 120, we have, spoiler alert, the first YNW member. We have YNW Melly. Now, if you're tapped in with YNW Melly in his family tree, you're probably kind of freaking out right now when I say the first member of YNW Melly, but we'll get to that another day. YNW Melly, shout out YNW Melly. Odd guy. He also went to jail, right? I swear he went to jail. I know his court case happened, I can't remember how long ago. Either way, I don't know, because he has some bangers, and he carries some songs. Mama Cry, banger, right? Mixed Personalities, banger. But then there's also some songs like Six Kiss. I think that's an amazing song. I think Six Kiss is such a good song, but it's not a flawless song, and I feel like it's not because of him. I feel like Trippie Redd really carries that song. YNW Melly does okay. I don't know. I really don't think YNW Melly is talented outside of, like, Mama Cry. I think that's a really well-made song. But, like, and it's a banger, But outside of that, I think his lyrics are terrible. They're really bad. But again, Mama Cry peaks so high lyrically that I have faith that he could maybe get there one day. He could maybe make another song like Mama Cry eventually. So that's why I have him at 120 and not any lower than that. Now, 119, again, somebody I don't know how to pronounce their name. But at 119, we have Saw Baby. So, you probably don't know Saw Baby from their name, but if you look up on the best song and you see Tonight and you're tapped in with the good TikTok content, you might recognize Tonight by being the song and all those victorious edits of Andre dancing after he says an out of context thing. And those videos are bangers. And he doesn't just have Tonight, right? He has other banger songs. I think I counted 3. As well as his feature on K9 by Don Toliver to be good. And if you go and look at Saw Baby's features in the recent albums he's featured on, he's been featured on some crazy good albums. I genuinely don't understand why people are giving Saw Baby features. Not saying he's bad, right? Obviously not. He's at number 119, but he's not a big name, so I'm kind of like, I wonder why they're calling him. Shout out to him, though. He definitely deserves more features. Just a curious pick, But shout out Saw Baby. He has some bangers. Lyrically, he's good. Beat selection's good. Flows are good. He just doesn't have that many bangers. Again, at 3 bangers at this point in the list, he can't get much higher. Now at number 118, we have, again, another person I would have figured to be a lot higher. But then I kind of looked, and I'm like, especially for original songs, he doesn't have that many bangers. Most of his bangers are features. That's probably the first person so far where the majority of their bangers are features. And at 118, we have Tyga. again, Tyga's interesting because going into this list, I thought, okay, he's going to be decently high on this list, right? And then I looked at all of his original songs, and I'm like, I mean, taste is good, but outside of that, he doesn't really have any bangers. And his features, he does good on the features, but again, like, Still Be Friends. I think G-Eazy does the best on that song. Not saying that Tyga does bad, but I don't think he does the best. And when you're featuring on songs and you're not doing the best, you can only get so much credit. That's why I feel like Tyga's at 118. But again, Tyga's been in a lot of popular songs. Most of his popular songs are good, but most of his popular songs aren't bangers, unfortunately. And that's kind of why he's here at number 118. Now, number 117, we probably got the best sounding person on this list so far. I think, personally, the best sounding person on this list so far. I could listen to this dude talk for hours. I wish this dude had a podcast about stuff I was interested in because I'd listen to this guy any day of the week. Such a cool voice. At 117, we have Big X the Plug. Shout out Big X the Plug. We need him to headline a Super Bowl one of these days. I'd love to see Big X the Plug going crazy at a Super Bowl performance. That's a joke. I don't think Big X the Plug would do good. Not at all. Not at all, but it would be funny. Again, I feel like why Big X the Plug is as high is because his voice is good and his lyrics are good. I feel like outside of that, I feel like his beat selection is pretty bad. His flows aren't great. But who needs flows when you have a voice like that? You know, if I had a voice like that, I think the last thing I care about is flows. Because who cares? Nobody's going to be listening to the flow. They're going to be listening to your voice. For good reason. Because he has a dope voice. But again, I just can't justify putting him any higher because I think his voice is cool, you know? But I had to put him on the list. I had to put him this high because he makes really any song sound cool, and that's gotta give you some credit. So at number 116 is a person that is, at least off the top of my head, well, maybe Dave Blunts, but off the top of my head, not counting Dave Blunts, I think he's kind of the first person to blow up on TikTok, like specifically because of TikTok, and that is Eric Reipard, right? Or Reprid? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Actually, I've never tried. I've never looked it up. So my bad, Eric. If you're watching, but Eric is really talented. He just doesn't put out much. Again, I think even his newest album, he put out like 9 songs on the album. It was a really short album, and I feel like he has a lot of really good songs that just aren't released, you know? And there's going to be a lot of people later on this list that I feel like their discography would be boosted if they had all of their unreleased songs out, right? But it's still really good. I just think Eric is really talented, and I wish he put out his unreleased stuff. But even without his unreleased stuff, because I don't count unreleased stuff for this list, you know, also listen to unreleased stuff. I just don't count it because it's not out there for anybody to listen to. And so because of that, I can't justify putting him any higher, even though I really want to. But please, Eric, put out your unreleased stuff. It's absolute bangers. Now at number 115 is, again, a guy that I went in this list thinking he's top 50. You know, name recognition alone, you think, this dude makes bangers, and he does make bangers. He just makes a couple bangers. I think I counted 3, and one of them was a feature. So at number 115, we have T.I. Again, I think T.I.'s good, but T.I. is not as good as I remember him being. And I think that's just a lot of, like, I see T.I. everywhere. In rap, in shows, right, in commercials. T.I.'s kind of just, like, out there, right? In rap scene now. He's like decently known outside of the rap scene now as well. And so I feel like and again, when he's good, again, whatever you like in Fancy are bangers, absolute bangers. I could listen to those songs for days straight. Those songs are bangers. But like, he has like 3, you know, and the rest of his discography is not bad. I don't think I've heard a T.I. song and I've gone, that's bad. Most of the songs I listen to are just mid, where you listen to them and you go, that's fine, but this would probably be used in a Fritos commercial, you know? And if we're playing Fritos commercial music, buddy. It's time to hang it up. And I really do think it's time for T.I. to hang it up. But, like, in T.I.'s prime, he had a couple bangers, a couple. That makes you on the list. That makes you on the list. And he deserves to be on the list. So shout out T.I. Now at number 114, we have somebody that I feel like some people could classify as not a rapper, but I still count him as a rapper, and I think he deserves to be on this rapper list. So 114, we have Rod Wave. Shout out Rod Wave. Really talented singer. And there's a few other rappers on this list that are very good singers, and you could probably think of one or two right now, very good singers, that are going to be making the third video, not even the second video, the third video, because they're really good rappers and really good singers. And while Rod Wave, I think, is a very good, or at least a solid singer and a solid rapper, his rap talent especially isn't great. I feel like his strong suit is singing, and he's still singing on rap songs. Can only get you so far because, again, I don't think his bars or his flow or his production, really anything's like that good. It's just like he's consistently good, but not consistently great, which puts him above everybody else on this list who's consistently okay. But this is kind of the point in the list where you have to be any higher, you have to be consistently better than good, consistently great, consistently amazing, right? And Rod Wave's not that, as much as I love Rod Wave. Shout out Rod Wave, such a great voice. Number 113, we have such a funny meme rapper. I love this dude. Shout out the donut clip, at the donut shop. Hope you guys know what I'm talking about. Number 113, we have Blueface, baby. Yeah. Shout out Blueface. Blueface is so funny. I think if we're looking at him outside of rap, Blueface is probably one of the funniest people on this list. I think he's a really goofy guy, and I feel like that translates to his rap really well. But I feel like his best rap is not his goofy rap. Again, Respect My Crip, and it's a little bit of a cheesy song. It's not really meant to be, I don't think. And I think that's his best song. Again, Shotta Flow Remix by NLE, I think is also his really good verse. I don't think he's trying to be cornball there, when I think most of his music, especially today, like the song, I can't remember what it's called, but the song that goes, I'm gonna get you, like, that's a cornball song, and I get what he's going for. He wanted to blow up on TikTok, so I'm not trying to be like, why'd he make that song? Like, I get why he made the song, but when he makes songs like that just for attention and money, which again I don't blame him for doing, you can't have him any higher when he's making cornball songs nowadays. I mean, he's always kind of made cornball songs, but when you're consistently making cornball songs, even if you're really, really good whenever you try, you just can't be any higher. I'm sorry. Now, at 112, we have a dude who peaked insanely high, but just doesn't have consistency at all. At 112, we have Young Nudy. Now, Young Nudy's interesting because, again, I think he peaked really high on EA featuring 21 Savage. Both of them reach flow state to the point where it's just a amazing song, amazing song, where you're just like, oh my gosh, they're truly reaching flow state. A rare song where both people, or everyone on the song, reaches flow state. And R.I.P. Fredo, also great song. I wouldn't say reaches flow state, but great song. He's a great verse, but I just don't think that he can be any higher. I really don't. And that's just because consistency, he's very forgettable. I don't think outside of a couple songs, and again, the other song that I didn't have on here is Hell Shell, which Hell Shell, honorable mention for best song. Another great song. But outside of Hell Shell, EA, R.I.P. Fredo, I really don't think his consistency is better than forgettable. I think he's very forgettable outside of that. But those three songs are absolute bangers. And so I kind of have to have him this high. Now, at number 111, we have yet another female rapper. Shout out her. I was on this female rapper's train before most people were. I'm pretty proud of that, I think I really like her. And again, if it was on terms of how much I liked the artist, she'd be top 50 for sure. But I just don't think she's top 50 material from being rapping standards alone. And at number 111, that's Rico Nasty. Shout out Rico Nasty. Again, I was on her way back in the day, right? And I think during the cypher that she had, that really blew her up too, because the cypher verse goes crazy. Rico Nasty goes crazy on that verse. I was very glad to see that. I was very glad to see her popularity blow up because of that. And I think she definitely deserved it. But again, I think she just doesn't have enough consistency and enough kind of similar to Young Nudy, where it's like, yeah, they have bangers, but they don't have a ton of bangers, and their consistency is forgettable, which makes you sad because I love Rico Nasty. But, I can't remember the last time I've heard a new Rico Nasty song and I've been like, this is a banger. It's like, it's passable, and then I forget about it, which is unfortunate. Shout out Tia Tamera, though. What a great song. What a great collaboration between those two. But no, I just don't feel like she could be any higher based off her recent stuff, which is frankly too forgettable to have her much higher on this list. Now, number 110, we have probably the first person on this list to blow up because of an unreleased song snippet, at least off the top of my head. And that is number 110, D Savage. In case you don't know which song snippet that is, it is I Know. Such a banger snippet, such a banger song. I got put on the snippet years after it came out. But that doesn't mean that the snippet and the song itself are not bangers. Absolute bangers. Triple H, also great verse in that song. I just like to see more output from D Savage. I don't think he has enough output to put him any higher than this, which is unfortunate, I think he's really talented. He doesn't have the quantity of music to be able to put him any higher. And as much as I'd like to put him higher, I just can't justify it. Now, number 109, we have the second person on this list to be deceased. So at 109, rest in peace, Speaker Knockers. Now, I apologize in advance for the terrible upscaled photo that I had to pick, but I couldn't find another good photo of Speaker Knockers. So here we are, unfortunately. Boy, if Speaker Knockers doesn't have some bangers on that one album, again, I can't remember what the album's called, but that album has some bangers. And again, I feel like Speaker Knockers 100% would be top 70 at least if we could see his prime. But unfortunately, he was taken too soon from us, and we could not see his prime. But from what we saw, he 100% deserves a spot on this list. I put him this high because not only do I think he's a great rapper, I think he had the potential to be an all-time great. And I think 109 is a good spot for what he was when he was here. So rest in peace, Speaker Knockers. You are missed, but thank you for releasing all of the bangers that you did. Now, 108, we have, for me, anytime I think of this rapper, I laugh, personally. And so at 108, we have Famous Dex. Now, I have an inside joke between some friends of mine. Every time I think of Famous Dex, I think of Dexter. Oh, whoa. So shout out Famous Dex for providing an inside joke to me. But shout out Famous Dex. Pick It Up by A$AP Rocky. Again, another song where both people reach absolute flow state, just like EA, where they just reach flow state, and you're like just bumping your head the whole time because they're going crazy. And the beat, how the beat goes silent, and then it just suddenly appears again like that. It's so good. I love that song. And I think outside of Japan and Pick It Up, he doesn't have a lot of bangers. But Pick It Up is one of the best rap songs I've ever heard in my life. So because of that, I have to put him this high. And I think, again, I haven't heard a bad song from him, even if I haven't really heard any other bangers from him. So that's why I have him here at 108. Number 107, we have somebody that definitely started off as a meme rapper, and would not have even sniffed the list if it wasn't for his most recent album. I know his album was only 30 songs, but all 3 were bangers. At 107, I have to have Mario Judah. Again, a meme rapper, somebody where you kind of look at him and you're like, why is he on the list? But if you've heard his most recent album, those 3 songs, they are bangers. Let Me Out of Here, such a banger. Now, I do want to mention Mario Judah and another person on this list. There are 2 people on this list that only have 1 feature in their whole discography. Mario Judah's the first one. So please, don't go listen to Country Steppin' Remix. That song is atrocious, but that's his only feature, so I kind of had to pick it, unfortunately. But no, I feel like Mario Judah, he just needs that most recent album is absolute bangers, but before that, he had some solid stuff, a few bangers, but like consistency was not there. Consistency in the most recent album was. So again, I feel like if he keeps trying to make good music like he did in the most recent album, I 100% believe he's going to make this list or be much higher on this list. But I can't justify putting him any higher than 107 right now. I can't, unfortunately. Now at number 106, we have, fun fact, actually, the other rapper to only have 1 feature on this list. That is number 106, SD Kid. Shout out SD Kid and shout out Timothée Chalamet. What a banger verse by Timothée Chalamet. Would have him on this list, but he only has 1 song. And I honestly wouldn't have him on this list. But if we're talking vibes and aura, he's on this list for sure. So shout out Timmy. But SD Kid's really good. I think SD Kid, again, I'm not counting the feature because that feature is also not good. And that song is not good. But that was the only option I had, so I kind of had to pick it. But if we're talking just original SD Kid songs, he has some straight heat. And he's fairly new, right? He hasn't released a lot, so I can't put him any higher as much as I think eventually he could very well be top 20, top 30. He just doesn't have the output to be any higher. So unfortunately, he has to be at 106. But be on SD Kid watch. This kid's going to blow up even more. Now, 105, we have something that I don't think anybody's heard of. And if you've heard a song from them, I don't think you know who they are at all. I think they have like 1,000 monthly listeners. But boy, if they aren't heat, and that is 105, 556 Garami. Such bangers, such bangers. Now, you might have heard of them from the TikTok song that blew up, Sing. Sing currently on Spotify is kind of having like a weird thing where I think somebody copyrighted it and sung over it, which is odd. But either way, even outside of Sing, which is the most popular song by 556 Garami, it's still a lot of bangers. I can't tell you how many songs they've released, but I think it's about 20. And like 12 or 13 of them are bangers. I can't put them any higher because their output is just low. But like the percentage of bangers is insane. When you have above a 50% banger range, I genuinely don't understand not having them on this list. And I know that some people just wouldn't because they haven't heard of 556 Garami. But please go listen to some of their songs because they have some absolute heat. Now, 104, we have, I think, the first white rapper on this list, I believe. Was SD Kid white? I actually don't know. I think is SD Kid white? I don't know. Oh, no, Two Hoss was on this list. I don't know what I'm talking about. Either way. We have 104, Macklemore. Macklemore's kind of a weird artist because his peaks are insanely high. So high. But, like, outside of that, he's kind of bad. But Can't Hold Us is not one of the best rap songs I've ever heard in my life. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. The production, the singing, the verses, the flows, everything about it. It's probably top 10 best made song I've ever heard in my life. That song's an absolute banger. And so I feel like he's got to be this high. His peak is insane. A rare peak where I don't know how many rappers off the top of my head I could name. I could definitely count them on one hand of people that have peaked higher than Macklemore. But outside of the peak, he kind of sucks. But again, the peak is so high. So it's kind of a weird spot of, do I count their inconsistency for more than their peak? Like, what's the ratio of inconsistency to peak that makes them drop or raise? So I feel like 104 is kind of a good spot in this list. But again, I could see people having them higher or a little lower. You have to have him on this list, though. It is Macklemore. Again, the peak is just so stupidly good that he has to be on this list. But I kind of put him here at 104 because I didn't really know where to put him. And I think this is a good spot for him. Now, at number 103, we have yet another person where I think you look at him and you go, and I think they're in a similar boat to T.I., where you look at him and you go, this person has some bangers, at least you think they have some bangers, and you go and listen to their music and you're like, yeah, they have the mainstream bangers, and then they don't have anything good. They're kind of bad, or at least passable. I wouldn't say they're bad. I think they're passable. So at 103, we have T-Pain. T-Pain's odd. I don't know, man. Bartender, really good song, but how much that's Akon? You know, Akon's really good. Good Life by Kanye West, same thing. He's good in that song, but how much of it's Kanye West? But again, he still has some really high bangers. It's just, and lyrically, I think he's really good. And his flow's pretty solid, but he just doesn't have enough bangers to be higher on this list. When you have 2 bangers, it's like, I don't think you can be top 100. I feel like you have to be in the top 150 range. And I just have more confidence in T-Pain making bangers. Obviously not now, because he's a streamer now. But I have more confidence in listening to a new T-Pain song when if all the rappers are in their prime so far, right, on this list, I think they have the highest chance of making a banger. I don't know. T-Pain's kind of a weird spot for me. But I have him here at number 103. Now, 102, we have somebody that will really shock some people. But I feel like, and this is going to be a really odd comparison, I feel like if Stranger Things was a rapper, it would be Eminem. Now, for those of you who don't watch Stranger Things is a very consistently inconsistent show where they have some high peaks and they have some brutally low lows. And so I just couldn't justify putting him top 100, even if I wanted to. I just can't justify it. So at 102, we have Eminem. I can't put him any higher. I don't know. I can't. When I think of Eminem, I think of the bad Eminem. You know, he has some bangers. He has some good peaks. But boy, does he have some bad lows. Some really bad lows. Again, Kim's one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. And so you listen to Kim, and then you listen to some of his best songs, again, No Regrets. And you're like, I don't know if they can. I don't think they cancel out. I think Kim's just so bad that it kind of taints his whole discography. And it's not just Kim. He has a lot of other atrocious songs to the point where I just can't. I can't put him any higher than 102. I really can't. And honestly, I could see him dropping in the future between people that are going to reach their peak and just listening to more of other people that are lower on this list than him. I genuinely could see him dropping, but right now I have him here at number 102. Now, at number 101, the last person on this list before I end part 1, it's going to be somebody that I think everybody's like, there's no chance. But I believe this is right, and I believe that the person that Eminem had beef with a few years back is actually better than him. And yes, Eminem might have won the beef, but he didn't win in the all-time ranking by Phil Storytime, and that is number 101, Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly is better than Eminem. You heard it here first, and I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. I think he's a better rapper. I do. I think he's a better artist, but especially a better rapper. He is more talented. I think his lyrics are more consistently good. I think his flow's a lot better. His beat selection's a lot better. His consistency's a lot better. Yeah, he doesn't have the peaks of Eminem. But when you get beat 4-1 in categories, sorry, Eminem, I don't care how high your peak is, it can't beat Machine Gun Kelly. But to talk more about Machine Gun Kelly, I think he's really good. But we didn't have enough years of rap Machine Gun Kelly. You know, we had a lot of years, still to this day, of kind of like pop punk Machine Gun Kelly, I think is what it is. But like we don't have a lot of years of rap Machine Gun Kelly. So yeah, while he was really good when he was a rapper, he's not making rap music anymore. So he just kind of doesn't make any new music that qualifies for this list. So I really don't think he can go any higher than 101 because he's inactive. And while he did peak fairly high, I just can't justify him putting him in the top 100. Now, I want to share the full list for anybody that's curious, and I'll go through it real quick, of the 150 through 101 list. So, starting from 150, we have YK Osiris, Will Smith, Quavo, Yo Gotti, 42 Doug, G Herbo, 2 Chainz, ASAP Ferg, Soulja Boy, Snoop Dogg, Asa Mason, Coi Leray, Bobby Shmurda, 2 Hollis, OT Genesis, Bankroll Hayden, Takeoff, Nipsey Hussle, TK, Ice Spice, Gucci Mane, DC the Don, Dave Blunts, Bad Baby, Lil Xan, Arizona Zervis, Tupac, 6ix9ine, Sheck West, Lil Mosey, YNW Melly, Sabai, Tyga, Big X the Plug, Eric Rypert, T.I., Rod Wave, Blueface, Young Nudie, Rico Nasty, D Savage, Speaker Knockers, Famous Dex, Mario Judah, SD Kid, 556 Karami, Macklemore, T-Pain, Eminem, and Machine Gun Kelly. Now again, I will try to release part 2 and 3 to this video in the upcoming weeks. Plan on them both being out by the end of March, so it shouldn't be too long of a wait. But I just wanted to put this one out first. I thought about maybe recording all 3 and then releasing them in like 3 straight days. But I just wanted to release a video to kind of get hype for the second and third part rolling. So I don't think I have much more to say. So thank you all for listening, and I will see you in part 2.